Puma Pants says good morning and loves to see you guys. He likes it when humans meditate because animals feel sorry for us sometimes. Anyway, forgive my circuitous wanderings in the little story that I'm going to tell. I'm also, just FYI, full disclosure, I'm coming on to a migraine headache right now, and I say it for no other reason than seems to be a very interesting part of my consciousness. It feels to me like sometimes I'm getting like a million volts of energy shoved into my brain, and my brain doesn't know how to process it yet. So God only knows where this story is going. Let's see, shall we? 1968. You guys are too young to remember, but maybe you do. I remember the year 1968. It was a tough year. There were riots. There was the uh, Democratic National Convention with cops beating on people. Mayor Daley, some of the people we love the most got shot. There was Vietnam. There was Lyndon Johnson. It was a mess. And it felt like our whole society was fragmenting and disintegrating. And um, it was a tough time. And then right about Christmas time, a spaceship took off for the moon. It was called Apollo 8. And it was the first Apollo mission to leave Earth's orbit and head toward the moon. And something very interesting happened when they fired a certain rocket and broke Earth's atmosphere and headed out toward the moon. They were able to turn around and see something that no human had ever seen before. They were able to see the moon or the Earth as a blue marble hanging in space. I'm sure we've all seen the picture, but no mortal mind, no mortal brain had ever seen that before. And then they went all the way to the moon, and on Christmas Eve, if you remember, they reported back and they did a quick TV show, and more than 1 billion people heard it, and they read from Genesis, and it was incredibly moving. And it seems as though the year 1968 ended with a healing vibe that we were all one people rather than the fragmented individuals on earth involved in our different warring opinions of things. So it kind of reminded me, if you're ever on Google Maps, sometimes you're looking at your street and there's a little slider in the corner. And sometimes it's kind of fun. It's like, there's my street. And then you can slide all at once. And then there's the whole earth. It's kind of like this ability, this remarkable ability that consciousness has to become very granular, very small, very limited, very particular, very left brain. And we have that capacity, and it's incredibly important, helps us to move and navigate through our world. And yet, if our consciousness contracts too much, we feel isolated, separate, disconnected. We can lose our way. We also have the capacity to worship. I use the word profane, meaning something that's smaller and less glorious than the totality of things. But we all have this capacity in our own consciousness. We have a slider inside of our own consciousness that can pull back, that can see the whole picture, that can see the whole earth hanging in space. Imagine God's consciousness, if you will, not just to see the whole earth, but to see the whole universe and to see it all at once. We might say that we're individualizations of God consciousness contracted down to such a small particulate bit that we forget the wholeness of things. And in that forgetting, we forget what's good for us. We can't differentiate the true from the false. Our GPS system no longer accurately works. And then ultimately, we begin to lose what we have. But through our meditation and through our remembrance of who we really are, this ability to pull our consciousness back and see the whole picture, what happens when our own consciousness pulls back far enough that we can see the totality of everything? Whose consciousness would that be? It could only be God. So don't sell yourself short. Remember that you are an individualization of God. And even though a cat is ripping your arm off at the time, I can pull my consciousness back far enough to hopefully deliver a migraine infested message that brings hope and love to all of us. Have a beautiful day.